Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of, we'll call it this wrestling podcast right here.
I like it.
Yes, that's what we're going with now. I'm, of course, Beby. I'm joined by Carnage. Carnage, say hello.
Hello.
And Stu.
Hey there, wrestling fans. It is Stu, a.k.a. Cookie Cutter _. How we doing today?
Oh, God, we're all great, Stu, as usual.
Wonderful, wonderful. Love to hear it.
Are you the host now? Or you can host.
Well, so here's the thing. I think, coming in from a serious outside perspective, and I think that I can help ask some of the questions that people who have no clue, do not have the encyclopedic historical knowledge on the sport, the history, the background that my two esteemed co-chairs do here.
Sure. And actually, that's what me and Carnage talked about a little bit too. Because we were like, we need third person, and let's get Stu on board because not to be mean, idiot. You just don't know.
Useful idiot.
You don't know as much about wrestling, so you definitely connect with more people than, let's say, I do, because I have a different perspective because I've been watching it since 1990, whatever.
Yep. I get to ask the dumb questions.
There's no. It's okay.
There's definitely potential.
There are no
definitely
dumb
potential for stupid questions.
There are no dumb questions. It's okay. But yeah, so we're just gonna talk about wrestling. This is very casual.
You've got a very loose bullet point list of things that I am interested to learn about and get into.
Exactly, and actually, the first thing on that list is something that I actually just found out this week. I think most people did. So a very awesome article, which I'll have to remember to link, is stated here that Sting is set to retire after his current AEW deal ends in 2023. We don't know when. We don't know what the date actually is. He won't actually disclose that, but he says after this year, it's done.
That makes sense. Sting's been going since the late 80s, I believe.
Yeah. Starting off with Ultimate Warrior and whatnot, doing the indie scene and kind of growing from there. Yeah, he's been doing it forever. I mean, he's 60. How old is he now?
63. Sting is 63.
And he's jumping off balconies. He's jumping off anything he can find that's higher than 6 feet. And if I sit down wrong on my chair,
rocking that goatee, that goat beard,
and the face paint. And if I sit down wrong on my chair, I'm 30. I'm 33. He has 30 years on me. Yep. And if I sit down wrong in my chair, I break something. But he's jumping off anything he can find. No, but I don't know if you guys found the same article. I didn't send it to you, but I did find a nice article about it and about him. And, it's just kind of a legacy. It went through his legacy a bit and talked about everything he's done and what he wants to do now. And I don't know. He's an example of, I'll be honest, early on when I first started watching wrestling, I didn't watch a lot of WCW, which is, I know, blasphemy. I didn't watch a lot. I've been a WWE guy since day one. And I never really understood why people liked Sting. Now, of course, as I'm older, it all makes sense now, right? Mm-hmm. But back in the day, I was just like, who is this guy? Like, he's just a wannabe Undertaker. Like that's and I know, blasphemy, but that's how I thought of him. But now I look back and I regret not being more with it when he was doing it. And
I was lucky because
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I was lucky because when I was growing up, WCW was kind of usually broadcast on like free television, and WWE was like the paid broadcast at the time. So I was quite lucky I could actually watch both of them, and because they kind of didn't clash too often because they would usually show the free kind of telecast of it on like a Sunday. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like the live version, but you could still see it with ease. So I'd usually watch it as a kid growing up.
Yeah, I don't know what my excuse is. I just didn't watch it. I don't know why. I mean, I kept in touch with it, right? I was young. I was like in middle school, but I just didn't watch it, and I regret it now. But man, what a career! What a career this guy's had.
Well. Yeah, absolutely. I grew up with friends who were very into wrestling. My parents at the time did not give a shit about wrestling, and my stepmom was actively against me, like seeing it. She felt that it was, I mean, for good reason. She was like, it's violent and it's misogynist, so I don't want you watching it, which, to be fair, I remember learning about Sting from a Pizza Hut demo disc that had WCW Nitro on it, and Sting and Hogan were the two playable characters in the demo. And if you went to them, you could get them to do a taunt. And that was kind of my intro to Sting and actually being interested somewhat in wrestling as a whole. So I dug on the whole Crow vibe and the aesthetic, and I thought that it was always very cool. So it was neat to me now as an adult to go back and start learning more about the history to really see how far he has come, because boy, he's just been a constant.
Yeah. I mean, how many years? 30 plus, right?
Yeah, 30 years.
He's always been part of it, even now, even though we thought, in 2015, I think it was, when he had his stuff with WWE. I don't know, Carnage, if you think the same.
Which I felt.
We'll get to that in a second, but that was something else. But I thought he was done, and now I'm very grateful that I have a place that I can watch him, and he's being utilized very well, because he's not there every week. He's not, but he's working with Darby, and he's doing stuff and staying safe, but also taking a lot of risks. And, he's older, and I feel like the fans understand he is older, and maybe he can't do everything he used to do, but he can still go. And he might have to stretch a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
And Darby is a high flyer.
Yeah, Darby Allin, who I've had the pleasure of meeting and hanging out with a couple of times. Nice guy. Absolutely willing to just do fucking anything, it seems.
Yeah.
He's just a monster. It does not know fear, for better or worse, it seems. And I think that it's neat that these two have bonded the way they have, and they've kind of, you've got 100%. the technical and the historical ability of Sting, and kind of given that tutelage to this guy who is just absolutely a dynamo in the ring, who just does all of these. Absolutely a stuntman is what he is.
Yep.
And it's really interesting to see their dynamic and to see how they've hitched themselves to each other and continue to grow. So that's been neat.
Stuntman is a really good way to put it.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me as well, like, I'm wondering if it's getting to a point with Sting now. He's feeling like, okay, I think Darby's like, he's so good. He's good enough to stand on his own. He doesn't need me to be there to kind of push him anymore. So you could say he's passing the torch on, or even in Sting's case, passing the bat on to Darby to go on for a kind of a proper push by himself, I guess you could say.
Do you think that? I mean, he's still, if I'm not mistaken, he's still teamed up with Darby, right?
Yes,
that's still the thing.
Well, I think he's still but I think he's currently, is he not tagging? No. Okay, he's not. No, yeah, he's still tagging with Darby. Yep.
I thought he was. So I wonder what direction they'll take it in when that eventually happens. I mean, knowing AEW, they're going to send him off very well. Yep. I mean, again, this article that I read, which I'll have to send you guys if you're even interested in reading it, but it's an awesome article, and it talks about how even Tony Khan.
Is it the TJR one?
No, I forgot who wrote it. I'll get it for you. It's really good, but it talks about how even Tony Khan, like, the viewpoints, right? So Vince McMahon, he viewed Sting as basically almost like an asset of WCW that he just needed to have, versus Tony Khan, who also grew up with Sting, viewed him, and the locker room views him kind of as a superhero. And so he's just treated so differently. And so I do anticipate that AEW will take care of him when it comes time to finish it up. And he's going to have something that a lot of wrestlers aren't able to get, which is a good retirement. A lot of wrestlers, they have something that it just ends them. They get injured, or they just have a really bad match or a really bad send-off. They're done, and then you just kind of forget about them. I anticipate he's going to have one of the better ones. Sting will.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great.
Let's just hope that when he ends, he ends. Let's hope he hangs
I think he will. I think he will. Yeah. He's been doing it constantly, except for 2015, which we'll talk about, but he's been doing it constantly for so long. I think he's, based on, again, I'm not his friend. I don't know him in real life, but based on what I can see and tell and read, I think he's happy. I think he's satisfied. I think he can close the book finally after 2023 and be like, yep, as long as he doesn't get injured, as long as he stays healthy. That's the biggest thing. Can he stay healthy? If he can, why not? What a great way to go.
He definitely goes down as one of the greatest of all time.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that he might be the greatest of all time. I think he might be.
Yeah, there's definitely a strong argument there.
If not the greatest of all time, then top 3.
He was even in the smash hit film Ready to Rumble. Got to be the good guy who saved the day at the end of it.
I knew you were gonna bring up that goddamn movie. Listen, hey, I'm not gonna watch that movie. First of all, but and this is coming from, I think he's top 3, and this is coming from someone who missed the entirety basically of his WCW career, just going back now and reliving what he's done. I think he's top 3. At least to what he contributed, at least to what he's contributed to wrestling as a whole. Not just WCW, not just WWE, not just AEW, just like all of it in general. Like he's Sting. He's an icon, right?
But literally, yeah.
There is one stain in everything here, which was his 2015 or 2014 run that he had with WWE, which, Stu, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not. Talk to me about this.
What a piece of hot garbage. So basically, like, and this actually referencing this article again, it'll tell you actually he wanted to work with Undertaker. So basically, after all these years, WWE had never gotten to get a hold of Sting. And then finally, when Sting was done with like TNA and everything like that, he's just like, all right, I want to go wrestle. And apparently he just text messages Vince and Triple H. It's like, hey, did you close the book on Sting yet? Of course, they did not. They decided to bring him in. And Sting wanted to come in, and he actually wanted to work with The Undertaker. Again, at the time, I didn't really understand. I was like, I don't want to see that. But, you know, now I'm like, oh, man, that would have been amazing. That is a dream match. But he wanted to work with The Undertaker, and they had other plans. They didn't do that. Instead, what they did, I don't remember which WrestleMania number this was, but at WrestleMania, for whatever reason, I still to this day hate not necessarily the match, but the outcome. But they did Sting versus Triple H.
So I'm looking on the Wikipedia article. That was WrestleMania 31.
31. After off the heels of WrestleMania 30, which was amazing in my opinion, one of the better WrestleManias with Daniel Bryan. Sting versus Triple H. And again, this comes back to Vince viewing Sting kind of as an asset because they were like, oh, the Monday Night Wars are back on and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and then to cap it off, they brought in like 20 retired wrestlers from that era, right? 30 years later. It's like everyone's, no offense, but they're old.
They done the whole DX and NWO type thing, didn't they? That kind of angle.
It's too late.
Kind of wrestlers coming out.
It's too late. They should have done this in the early 2000s if they wanted to do that.
Tell Vince had started to lose it a bit at this point.
and they bring out all these wrestlers that no one, like, it was cool to see them, I guess, a nice little cheap pop, but who cares?
Not for his first match in WWE and not at Mania.
His first match and his first WrestleMania match. And then what happens? He loses. He loses to Triple H. Triple H takes a sledgehammer, if I remember, hits him and pins him and wins. And then I think Cole or someone says as it should be or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like there's a really bad call in there, in my opinion. And I was just like, what just happened? And I think Sting kind of thought the same thing. What just happened? All these years, I finally make it to WWE, and then what just happened? Like,
do you know how many matches Sting fought in the WWE?
Was it 3?
4. He fought Triple H. I think he had a tag team with John Cena at some point. I don't know who they were fighting. He had a match against the Big Show, and he also had a match against Seth Rollins,
which almost ended up being his retirement match.
Yep.
So, Stu, again, if you don't know, Sting versus Rollins. Rollins has this move called the Buckle Bomb? Is it? And where he basically takes the opponent and throws them onto the buckle. So he picks them up, you know, as if it's like a power bomb, and basically throws them at the buckle. Now, first of all, I'm not going to agree with the internet saying like, "Oh, Rollins is this and that. He's a unsafe worker," because a lot of people do think that. I don't. I think Rollins is amazing. I think he's super safe, and I think this was just a fluke, basically. And people are going to say, "Oh, well, what about Finn Balor?" I don't care. You're wrong. He throws Sting. And I think it's the first one he throws him, and Sting is already like, "Uh-oh. Something just happened to me, and I don't know what it is." And I think he's like starts to go numb a little bit, like in the arms. And he's trying to get like sense back in his arms, essentially. And then Seth goes for a second one. And at the second one, it's game over. So he can't feel his legs. He like doesn't pass out, but he's down. He's out for the count. He cannot move. And
I think at this point as well, Sting was 56.
Yeah. 56 years old. Something like that. I mean, he's older and he can't move. He's in the middle of the ring. And correct me if I'm wrong, do they stop the match? They have to, right?
I remember.
I think they just stop the match. And that's it. GG. And then turns out that Sting had like a I don't know if it was an
spinal stenosis.
Spinal stenosis. And WWE had recommended that he gets surgery. And thankfully, he did not, because he actually spoke with Stone Cold and with Edge, who both, infamously had neck issues and neck surgeries and whatnot, and basically couldn't wrestle anymore. He opted out of the surgery. He didn't get it. And guess what? 6 weeks later or something, he was good to go. But WWE didn't really have anything for him. And so it's like, how do you not have anything for Sting?
Yeah, right. You make room.
You can do anything. You can do literally anything. I think the only worst thing they could have done with Sting in that time period, because they did put him in the Hall of Fame, which I guess is cool. But when you get in the Hall of Fame, it's just like you're done, right? But the only worst thing they could have done with Sting is given a 24/7 title. Like, and I bet 100%. I have a feeling that maybe the idea came across the table, if that belt even existed at that point.
100%.
They're like, hey, why don't we give it to Sting? Like, I can almost imagine that idea. But like, that could have been it. And that would have been all a lot of people would have known about Sting.
Yeah.
Right. And just after all those years of like wanting to see Sting in WWE, and then the times you see him in WWE, that's the time that ends his career as well.
I just...
It speaks a lot that people have been so behind Sting. Like Sting, heel or babyface, like everybody puts him up. He is everybody's favorite consistently. Nobody hates Sting, regardless of his position. I feel like most people are like, yes, Sting, right? For a company, and I mean, as an asset, to not even use it or respect the asset that he is, speaks a lot to the mismanagement of WWE, especially through the later years now, and just how out of touch, I think, with the fan base.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Not just out of touch. Like he, and I say he. We all know why I say he, but like he's just so. Yeah. I don't understand so much. Like no one actually. We're past. We don't hold grudges.
Like he's become the villain that he was a caricature of.
We all know who we're talking about when we say he.
It's me, Austin.
Beby, it's funny you say about grudges and stuff, because that's one of the things I thought about in Sting's kind of little tiny minute career in WWE. I wonder if it was Vince holding a grudge that Sting didn't come back or didn't come to the WWE sooner, and he's like, you know what, now you're here, I'm just gonna make a joke of you and try and make a joke of your career.
I mean, is it even his fault I mean, we remember that whole time period where a lot of people didn't go because they had these guaranteed contracts, right? So why would you go? I mean, sure, it's not all about the money, but also like people have mouths to feed and they have families and they have other things, and it's not only about their career. And so of course you're not going to take that, and you're not going to lose that guaranteed contract. So I don't know. It just felt it all felt very weird. His whole time in WWE, it was awful. It was god awful. Let's just be honest. Like 1 out of 10, 0 out of 10, -5 stars. It was so bad. And I'm just so happy now.
That's not a slight of Sting. That is the writing and the direction.
No, not at all. Sting,
show,
you said it. Sting can do anything anywhere. Literally anywhere. He can go to my local federation and do literally whatever he wants. And you know, he'll somehow, this federation will be the number 2 federation in the nation. Like, it's just that is the power and the draw of Sting.
Do you think we could get Sting on here? Could we get him to come and just do color commentary for a quicksand versus?
I don't think we can afford him, to be quite honest. I don't think we can afford Sting, but we can try.
I don't know who these people are, but here we go.
I think something I did find though is that match with Rollins was Night of Champions in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That was his last singles match. Every match he's had since has been a tag team match.
That makes sense. That makes sense, and I think that should have been the case, and that should be the case now, regardless if he was injured or not. Again, he is older. He can't. He could probably do a 10-minute, 15-minute match, but does he want to?
Yeah, he's gonna be. You want part of it is not just being able to do it, but being able to stay engaged and active through the whole thing. And I'm 33 years old. Doing a 15-minute wrestling match at my age right now, I would be fucking gassing by the end of it. And I can't imagine that plus my age again. I don't care what kind of shape you're in. The physical demands of that are significant. Getting picked up, thrown around, picking somebody else up, throwing them around. You're gonna gas, and you want to keep it. You want the pop to stay there through the whole thing. You don't want to just burn out in the first 5.
I was gonna say I think he's been smart in that regards in teaming up, especially with someone like Darby, because like Darby can do everything for him, and other than the whole kind of balcony jump he did whenever that was a year back.
But that was the only thing he did. He jumped off. He's like, all right,
that was enough. That was enough. That's all he needed to do.
And I'm out.
He's got enough for 1 or 2 big spots, and then
there was a hot tub full of ice waiting for him, and then just a tub of Ben Gay to slather himself down in. After.
Yeah. So, and also to add on top of this, before we move on here, is wrestling is so fast now, especially compared to 30 years ago.
Yeah,
the paces of the matches. I mean, look at the Young Bucks and all these people. Like, everything is a lot more flashy and high flying. This is no slight to him, but I don't think he can keep up. You know, and put on a 5-star match every time, and that's not his fault. It's the way that wrestling has evolved over the years. Everything is about how fast and how many moves can you do. Very rarely do you have those slow psychological matches anymore.
It's credit to him to hang up the boots now instead of keep going until he becomes like just a shell of what he was, and then. That's what people will remember him for. And
retire on your terms.
Put a stain on his career.
Absolutely. Yeah. But also just the shape that he's maintained this entire time. He looks great. Like he doesn't look that much different from when he was wrestling 30 years ago. When you look at a lot of the guys that come back and you're just like, oh man, that's.
Well, he wears a t-shirt now.
But yeah, he wears a t-shirt now. But
Black
still,
is very slimming. I'm
kidding.
He's a very slim dude. He's in very good shape. You are 100% correct. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens with Sting 2023. I mean, AEW is going to do a really nice job with him, I think. I think it's going to be, and I can't wait to watch it and be there, and I'm sure he'll have an amazing send-off and an end to a rather historic career.
And we'll be there watching.
We will.
Indeed.
Probably.
Maybe. Next up.
Let's talk about PWI.
PWI Awards 2022. We can just hit these really quick before we get to our main topic, but a lot of kind of interesting things, in my opinion. So number 1 rookie, Hook.
Which I love.
You love it. You love to see it.
I think Hook is incredible.
I do too.
No, I'm not familiar with Hook. Where's he coming out of?
AEW.
AEW, okay.
Now, when you look at him, he does not look like a wrestler. But this kid can wrestle.
He is so he has he's smaller but bigger, and he has a very I'd be afraid of him. Just by looking at him. And
you look at pictures,
no, I have seen him. Yeah, that's Taz's kid. Okay, yeah.
And he has amazing hair.
He does have good haircut.
You know what was it? I think I remember, and I could be misremembering all this, but I'm pretty sure early on no one believed that he would be good. They're like, who is this guy? Like, he's going to be garbage. Why is Hook here, this and that? And then he finally got in the ring after, months of anticipation. And he just everyone shocked. Shocked. I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? We love Hook. And it was like immediately. And now anytime his music hits, it's just like immediate reactions. Everyone's like, fuck yeah, it's Hook time, baby.
Yeah, I think they got that award correct, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't think they could have given it to
Well, I don't know who else. Yeah, who else would have been able?
I'm looking at a picture right now. Taz, it's Taz standing next to Hook, and Hook is billed at 6 feet. And Taz is billed at 5'9", and I'm looking at him, and there's a good 3 to 4 inches difference.
But I don't think Hook looks 6 foot. I thought he looked smaller.
I thought he looked a little
and
smaller.
I'm saying I think Taz is like 5'5".
Yeah, I don't think Hook is 6 foot.
Do we know who else was up for that award?
I wasn't sure who the other nominees were because they did. I don't think they gave any runners up or anything like that.
It's not listed on the wiki that I'm looking at currently.
Okay.
I think that they don't release them until later because all the other. I'm looking back through the past and I see all of the other ones, but I don't think they've released those yet.
Yeah, I only grabbed a few that were.
Yep. Likewise.
Yep.
That we know about and whatnot, but maybe I'll be able to find it. Who knows? But also top tag team FTR.
Yep.
We agree. Are we all in agreement that FTR? Because I mean,
you could
Young
stake claim for the Usos,
the
Young Bucks.
Usos. Who else do we got? Oh gosh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get roasted for forgetting. AEW has a lot of great tag teams.
Yep. So Young Bucks had it last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
and the Usos, New Day, and Lucha Brothers were all runners up for it last year.
I mean,
and the Young Bucks have also won it 3 times, 2 of which were consistent back to back.
The Acclaimed.
Yeah, you could say
the Lucha Bros.
I think if they'd have given it to the FTR or the Usos, I think that'd have been a fair kind of
FTR Usos. But I mean, Street Profit, they're pretty good. Yeah. They're not awful. I mean, I like them. I enjoy them. I don't think they should win top tag team. I think they got a little bit to go, but they're great. Yeah, the Acclaimed, Lucha Bros. I mean, Young Bucks. Well, I guess technically are Young Bucks technically a tag team right now, or are they more of a trio?
Yeah, but the trio kind of came later part of the year, didn't it?
True.
It wasn't like a full-on throughout the year type thing.
Regardless, I mean, I'm just, kind of throwing those names out there, but I do think FTR, I mean, they're one of my favorite tag teams. Yeah. I love the Usos right now, too. I don't like all the backstage stuff that happens, maybe throughout the year, once or twice. But I love the Usos as well. But FTR, I mean, so my first introduction to them was when they were in NXT, which I think would be a lot of people who don't keep up with the indie scene.
Yep. 100%.
And I feel like they opened my third eye to tag team wrestling. I mean, I forget who they go up against. It was like them and American Alpha, I believe, or something or the other. It's just every tag team match was so good. And part of it is because a certain company's CEO doesn't like tag team matches at all. So it doesn't let them thrive. And versus, NXT, where they're like, yeah, go for it. Do whatever you want. You got all the time in the world. So FTR just they've always been so good. I'm not sure if again, this is going to get a lot of hate, but I'm not sure if I liked what they've done as much as back in the day, but they're still quite good. I mean, there's a reason why they have so many championships. Starting to lose them now, but there's a reason why they have so many. Stu, anything to say about FTR?
I don't know enough about. I couldn't pick FTR out of a lineup.
That's
so
okay. Well, that's okay. I mean, this is. I feel like this is very much a I'm a wrestling fan. Yeah, I'm a wrestling fan, and I understand this pick. I approve of this decision, type of thing. Because I mean, if you look at gimmick wise, what's their gimmick?
You tell me.
They just wrestling. Wrestling is their gimmick. Gotcha. They're wrestlers. I mean, and they're like all about old school wrestling. So, which nowadays you need something a little bit more to be probably a little, mainstream, I guess.
Can we talk about another category real quick that I think
Sure.
you're going to be all in on? Most hated of the year?
Oh gosh, who's most hated?
MJF for the second year in a row.
Oh,
I think that makes sense.
is that? I guess that's right. I mean, what do we mean by most hated? Like, do we mean
There-
like actually hated, or do we mean like, oh, he's a good heel?
Yeah,
The
he's a good heel, I
PWI
think.
Most Hated Wrestler of the Year award typically recognizes the most effective heel
Okay.
professional wrestler of the year.
That
And I
makes
would
sense.
say
Yeah,
he
100%.
absolutely I love how bad he is. Like he has so
Yes.
much fun, and he inculcates himself into the character so well that I just like, holy shit.
I wish I could summon an ounce of what he's able to do on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Like
The charisma for being that much of a dickhead is so
well, just
good.
not only it all happens before he even touches a microphone, right?
Yeah.
You just
the way he
look
carries
at
himself.
him.
He carries himself.
The way,
in
yeah,
such a
the way he
good-
walks,
Good way. Yeah.
the way he walks, his body movements, right? The subtle things, the little nuances. I don't even care. You know, people say, "Oh, it's the way he dresses in the scarf." Well, it's just the small little things that he's like mastered after all this time, and it's just like, wow, you just really want to hate him. Now things are changing a little bit nowadays, right? Because people are starting to like him because they hate him so much, you know, as is the way of wrestling and wrestling fans. But he's still effective. He still gets people to boo him, even if they're cheering him.
Not even just in the ring, but his off-screen social media presence is really funny too. You know,
the way he shits on everyone, anyone and everyone. What did he say? The only thing more embarrassing than what was it? Having a Twitter account is having a Reddit account or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. He knows where the fans are, and he's gonna hit them.
Good.
Yeah.
I think he's probably as annoyed with some fans as I am.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Listen, the best thing you can do to a wrestling fan, especially a shitty wrestling fan, is bully them.
100%. 100%.
I can't even imagine who would take like a number 2 slot on there. I'm just trying to think like who else.
So last year it was Roman Reigns, Kenny Omega, and Baron Corbin.
But Roman,
I'd say
I wouldn't. I don't even think Roman. Is he a heel? Well, we could talk about that later. But is he a heel?
Yep. I mean, I think they've moved him. I think they've, based on the popularity, they've moved him.
He's
into
in between
more face status. Yeah,
I think he's going to start moving more towards a heel WrestleMania season.
Yep.
But I think he's been just in between, where it's just like, oh, he has like a little bit of a lighter side, a funner side. But I think he is going to be moving towards more heel status here soon.
Now with this, with the push to get what's the
Sammy?
Happy Time guy?
Who are we talking about? Bray Wyatt?
Where they did the White Rabbit.
Yes.
Bit. I think they're gonna try and push him to be heel again.
They probably should if they can. You know, if they're able to do that. That's the thing. Are you able to do it? Because sometimes the fans decide, no, we are going to cheer this person.
This is a good guy. We love this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, we like him. So you're not going to do anything about it, buddy.
For me, with Bray, whether he's heel or face, I love Bray. I think he's incredible on the mic. I think he's a good wrestler. Yeah. So he will always be a baby face to me, even if he's playing the heel role.
Yeah. And then
see. Go ahead.
Woman of the Year is going to be Bianca Belair.
Yep. 100%. I think that is well deserved.
Yep.
I absolutely
talented.
love Bianca. And I know that she works like as far as like as a total package as a wrestler and everything and an entertainer, because whenever I go to events, it's just like you could see like how drawn everyone is to her. Yeah. Just like her look, her gimmick. Her the way she moves in the ring. I mean, she is so exciting to watch. It's so good.
The only thing I will say with Bianca is, and it might be an unpopular opinion, it might just be something that, I don't particularly like, but I'm not a big fan of her mic skills.
Okay, well, yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You are correct. I mean, they could be better. And hopefully, as time goes on, they will get better.
Oh, yeah.
But she does all right. I mean, she's a champ for a reason. And I wonder who she's going to lose it to. I mean, you would think it might have been Bayley, but stacked. Yeah. She's great, though. I think she deserves it. Number 2, I guess, could be, but Becky came in, so late in the year. Yeah, so she would have been an obvious choice. I think she won it last year. I'd be surprised if she didn't. And who else could possibly be looking at AEW's side? Jade Cargill.
Yeah. That's a very
that would have been a good choice, but she's great. I love her too. Is some of her ring work, from a outside perspective, I'm no wrestler, but some of the ring work is, iffy. Who else? What other women wrestlers would be up there?
I mean,
Britt Baker. Britt Baker is awesome. She would have been. She would have been an Oku. Actually, if Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter, if either of them would have won it, I think I'd be like, yep. Yeah. I think that would have been okay.
I think there's a lot of women who could have took that, and you'd be like, yeah, that's fair enough.
I agree. There are a lot. Who else do we got here? We've got, looks like most improved Mandy Rose.
Well, this one isn't awkward, is it?
Yeah, she's no longer with the company, but you know what? A lot of people online got so tired of her. I was like, no, keep it going. She was so good. I mean, it's so weird who people choose to hate sometimes. Like they could do the same exact thing as a person next to them. And I think this kind of speaks to, I mean, not to offend anyone, but speaks to kind of some wrestling fans that like they could be doing the same exact thing, but because they're, let's say, not a dude, it's just like, nope, we hate this. We hate this now. You get out of here. And they just want things to change. It was unfortunate that her run everything got really weird at the end. I hope she's living the best life, but it got really weird at the end and then, dropping the title. But I would agree she was most improved. I mean, she went from really doing nothing on the main show to being the champ and having, honestly, decent matches and super entertaining.
As a recording, she hasn't yet signed for anyone, has she?
I don't think so.
No.
Will she sign for anyone else? Who knows? That might have been the end.
She might not need to. Yeah, she might not need to.
I mean, it depends, right? If she wants to do it, she doesn't have to. It's up to her. But I think most improved Mandy Rose makes sense.
Yeah, I think again it's a fair award to give, I guess.
And then kind of the no-brainer, in my opinion, the no-brainer award, the Men's Pro Wrestler of the Year, Roman Reigns.
Yep.
I mean, anyone? Any questions?
Not yet.
Roman Reigns. This is, and I'm so happy. I've stuck to my guns. This storyline since day one, and I'm just gonna say it. Screw everyone. Amazing. The best.
Yeah, the storyline has been.
And people have said, and I think maybe you even said it, Carnage, at some point, like, oh, I don't like this, whatever. I have stuck to my guns and I said, this is the best freaking thing that has happened in so long that it's why I tune in, and then I'll flip the channel to something else usually. This is so good. The whole bloodline thing.
For me, what made it better, because it started to get stale for me, but what made it better was Sami Zayn.
True.
And 100%. His recent like promos and stuff, that is what's made me want to watch and see them come out and do a promo of some sort, because I know that Sami Zayn is going to come out with something crazy.
But see, here's the thing. I 100% agree, but Sami being effective would not have worked without the foundation of the bloodline, 100%. Which Roman Reigns and the Usos had to build over the past like year and a half or whatever. So it's not just the fact that, that Sami Zayn came in. It was the fact that there was this thing already here. All right, now we're missing a piece. Sami Zayn. And it just strapped the rocket. Boom, straight to the moon. Amazing. The best. We're going to be talking about this storyline that has been happening. I mean, this is going to be talked about for years. Let's just hope that they don't Game of Thrones it, and then the final season, that final match to whoever dethrones Roman isn't someone who didn't deserve it. Should we talk about that? Should we talk about that a little bit? Because I actually have some issues
with that.
So my issue is I don't want them. I love Sami Zayn. I love Kevin Owens. I don't want a Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos. I don't want it. I don't want it. They need to, in my opinion, have Sami Zayn win a championship. And not just a tag team championship, but like win a main championship, win the WWE championship. Either was it Universal or whatever. I don't even know what they're called anymore. But I think he should win one of them. I think Sami Zayn should win one from Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Whether it's night 1 or night 2.
If they do that, I hope they're not just turned into a like, okay, all right, Sammy's got it, let's make him drop it the next week.
No, they wouldn't do that. I mean, they have to do that and treat him like Daniel Bryan.
Yep. 100%.
At that point. I mean, the man can wrestle. We know that. It's not that he couldn't be Daniel Bryan. And he could have a great run. He could be champion. It could be one of the best championship moments in the history of wrestling. I don't think the same could be said if they just they reunite Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They have gone to this well so often.
Mm-hmm.
Where, Stu, if you don't know this, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn they have been best friends for quite some time. IRL.
Gotcha.
Best friends. They did the indie scene together. And they have been best friends forever, basically. And they were lucky enough to get into WWE within the NXT development brand at the same time, essentially. Give or take, maybe a couple months. But essentially at the same time, they were able to get there. And, they had a great feud early on in NXT where Kevin Owens turned on Sami Zayn. It was amazing. No one saw it coming. It was great. I was there. I saw it. And, and then they kind of stayed away. They came back, stayed away, came back. They kept doing that. And now what it's leaning towards and what people think is going to happen is basically Sami Zayn is going to, who has this amazing thing going on with the bloodline, is going to team up with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania to take on the Usos and dethrone the Usos, who have been the reigning tag team champions, undisputed tag team champions. And I don't want it.
For a long time.
I don't want it. Pick a different team. Pick any other team. Get a group, 2 people to bring back Riddle. I know he's had his thing going on, his issues. Bring back Riddle. Bring back Orton, who I know he has had. Listen, the crowd will love it. They'll eat it up. Give them the rematch, or take bring back Sting, or take Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Or there's so many options, but don't do Sammy and KO. Let Sammy win.
And that's only championship because you want Sammy to win a championship. Yeah.
I don't want it. I need it. I need Sammy to win a championship. I could tell you right now, especially if they did it on night 2. What a way to close out WrestleMania. That would be
pretty cool.
It would be amazing to go from an amazing match against, the Jackass crew last year at WrestleMania to winning the championship, the main title. He needs to do it. They need to do it.
See, they need to. WrestleMania, though, what is their plan? Are they going to have Reigns fight on both nights for both championships?
I think that is the plan.
And then one against potentially Sami Zayn if we're putting that out
there. I think that is the plan.
Both of them.
I think so. Well, no, not lose both of them. The Rock won't win. If he faces The Rock, which I believe is the plan, he's not going to lose to The Rock, and nor should he. I think that's more of a send-off match.
That shouldn't be the case, yeah.
And if that's The Rock's retirement, I think that'd be a great way for Rock to retire too. But I think the plan is for him to wrestle both nights.
Yeah, which would be good.
But the problem is that spot is so crowded. Because let's not forget about Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The second top babyface of the company, and he's not even there right now. Everyone's waiting for him to come back at the Rumble. He's doing something that he couldn't do in AEW for some reason. But so there's that possibility. But I just think Sami Zayn is just so hot right now, and he's been so hot for like 6 months. I think he can keep it up for another 3 or 4 very easily, and I think he should win it. Man, I think he should win it.
And I don't think that would ever happen if he who shall not be named would be at the helm, because he has a very certain style of how he likes his wrestlers. And Sami Zayn is not one of them.
Should we talk about it?
Well, it filters in pretty well to what we're talking about now. So
we might as well. What a crazy couple of weeks. It's only January 15th.
Yep.
And yet this has been the craziest year of wrestling in recent memory. And we only just started. Basically, if you're living under not the rock, but a rock, basically...
Well, I'd like to live under the rock.
Would you? He'd crush you. Basically, there have been talks that WWE is looking to sell.
Yes.
So what all happened? And we're probably going to miss a couple of things, but Vince McMahon officially back on the board of WWE, which happened, a week and a half ago, something like that. Stephanie McMahon is no longer the CEO. I think, who is it? Nick? Is it Nick Khan?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the CEO now?
I believe he's taken over, yeah.
He's taken over. He's acting as a third, like basically no one talks directly to Vince. So like, for example, Triple H and Stephanie talk to Nick, who then talks to Vince. Vince talks to Nick, who then talks to Stephanie. Like apparently there's just a whole thing. Like he has burned a very deep bridge. Triple H and Stephanie, Triple H is still head of creative, supposedly.
Yeah, the COO, right?
For now.
Yeah.
And the big thing was, and this ended up not being true, thank goodness, which was a Saudi Arabian private investment firm was looking to purchase
fund.
Fund, that's right. Sorry. Was looking to purchase WWE. Thankfully, that got debunked. Let's just start there. Let's count our blessings. That's not true, supposedly, for now.
I mean, they have very deep pockets, so they could very much
overpay
do that quite easily.
They could.
I was checking their assets, and they got estimated assets of $620 billion.
Oh my God! Literally, if they just drop something by accident or forget something somewhere, I think I'd be able to pay off my house. Yeah. So that was the big thing was WWE going to be sold to Saudi Arabia, which of course there's a lot of dispute about that. People don't want that to happen. I don't disagree.
Pros and cons. I think there'd have been pros and cons.
Please, I know the cons. What are the pros?
Well, I'll hold on to my pros as of now until we go on to another topic within this, because it will tie in quite nicely.
Okay.
Unless we're finished talking about the Saudi Public Investment Fund, then I can bring up the next point.
I mean, do whatever you feel is right. I mean,
yeah.
All I know is that I did not want Saudi Arabia to own WWE. I get it. Like they have deep pockets, like you said, so they are able to pay for, I want to bring back this wrestler. Okay, bring back whoever you want. Or they could maybe be more open to more things. But if they did that, they would only do that because Vince could stay in control.
Yes, 100%.
So like they actually wouldn't be able to do anything. They'd just be a sugar daddy. I might have stopped watching WWE.
Yeah, honestly, I think that the biggest thing there, and the biggest reason that I don't think they would want to openly purchase WWE, that particular seller buyer, is just because they know that the fan backlash would be significant. If they were going to do it that way, I think it would be piecemealed into like dummy corporations. They wouldn't outright buy it. They would have like, 20% just went to this investment firm, and then ultimately it would all tie to the same thing. But I don't think they would do an outright buy just because the fan backlash would be pretty significant.
True.
I also think if they did have if they did purchase, whether it be a majority or the whole company, I think the women's division would get left behind just due to certain situations in that part of the world.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about that.
That was something I was going to bring up. Is depending on who buys it, you have to wonder who is going to be allowed to stay and what kind of what does WWE look like based off of who purchases it. Because you think about WCW was purchased for $4.8 million, and
That's so
the
cheap. I could have bought WCW.
Yeah, right. We could have
really.
we could have pooled and got a loan or something. We could have.
I'm sorry, you said
happen.
million, right? Like with an
million,
M, not billion.
$4.8 million.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
what a discount.
Yeah. I once saw an interview with Chris Jericho, who said that if he had known, he would have bought it.
I mean,
it's crazy.
I feel like any top wrestler at that point who had a grudge could have bought it.
Yeah, and that was the big thing, is that it was kind of purchased it was sold underhandedly, just to try and get the money out to push it out as fast as possible. And I think that's somebody was there with the money that was just like, we could make this happen right here, right now. But you think about the ripples and effects that are still being felt, like we were talking about earlier with Sting in the WWE in 2014. What is WWE, like the single biggest wrestling conglomeration in the history of the world, going to look like at that point?
Yeah, 100%. I could not agree with you there. I think every point you've brought up is valid.
Especially, and I, just because I'm looking at the stock ticker right now, all-time high stock price was $96 pre-pandemic. Stocks crashed through the pandemic, which is not entirely surprising, and they're only today currently sitting at $89.40, which is, even then it opened at 90 and it's now down 40, 50, 60 cents now. So
sure, it did crash, but also it opened at $30 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it first became public.
It's been consistently on the rise outside of the pandemic crash, but it does show that it's not where it used to be.
Yeah, their purchase definitely helped it a lot when they got when they partnered up with Fox. Was it? Yeah, when they partnered up with Fox for it was like billions dollar deal. But
I'm looking at an article now from sportsnot.com that's got 6 possible buyers. I want to run some of these by you.
Yeah.
First is Disney.
That's my number one pick. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Yeah.
I think. Well, okay, they're tied. I have another number one pick, but I think Disney is a very likely one, and I think, I don't know if I would like it or not. I don't think they would necessarily dumb down the content.
It depends on the product they want to do, whether they want to make it even more family friendly than it already is.
Exactly.
Well, I was gonna say they've done a good job with Marvel keeping it not, kids can go to it, but it's not a kids movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just don't want there to be a point where Disney like, right, what we're gonna do now, right, is we're gonna have Elsa. She's gonna come out and she's gonna win the championship.
Think they're, especially now that Bob Iger's back at the helm, I think that they're smart enough to not do that.
Keep it separate.
I imagine there'll probably be an animated series though, where they'll do this, where there's like all the universes.
There were already animated series.
No, but I mean, Hogan had his own animated series. But I mean, where the universe is like some of the Disney movie stuff, they'll just like come into a wrestling ring. And
yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, is the WWE film studio, like their production line, they did you had all these wrestlers that were getting put into cameo spots in movies, and fucking WWE meets Scooby-Doo. It's already been kidified and brought in, so I don't think it could, when Scooby-Doo and the Undertaker are hanging out, it's hard to dig that hole deeper.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot all about that when they did the whole the cartoon or whatever it was with John Cena. Yeah. Yep. And why do you unlock that memory?
Listen, I'm just saying the worst has already happened. So
it's true.
Comcast, NBC, Universal. I don't think I'd like that. NBC.
So that's interesting that you say that, because that's who I'm tied with.
Yeah.
The reason being is that they're essentially already doing that.
Yeah.
And we already see how that's going. It's not bad. it's not awful.
It's not terrible. For me, I worry about, and I mean, this is going to be the same with anything. Everything has become so corporate. I don't like the levels of the bureaucracy that they would have to go through for certain things. I feel like would be a lot.
Sure, that's valid.
And change would come so slow, if at all, in a situation like that.
I would like either Disney or the whole Comcast Universal, just because Disney has the money, right? They can do whatever they want. I don't like the idea of Disney owning every single thing ever existing in entertainment and media. I don't like that, but when it comes to like the whole money thing and being able to make sure that a wrestling product can still be delivered at a high quality, I think Disney can help make that happen, unless they said, oh, you know what? We don't actually like wrestling. And just
we're going to fuck it
here.
up. Nah,
you're out of here. And then I like the idea of Comcast, Universal, all them, because we're in that generation right now. We're in that.
Yeah.
I go on Peacock and watch wrestling through there. So I think those are two good choices. Who are the rest?
So the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Funds, who we discussed already. One that I absolutely don't want to, which is Endeavor, who owns UFC currently.
Oh no.
I don't think that. I think that it would not. They would push it too much into a like TNA ECW direction that I don't
Attitude
think would be
Era.
necessarily good. Yeah. But like not in it would be a forced attitude. Like I do everything barbed wire all the time.
My name's Joe Rogan, and this is WWE.
Yeah. Hey, Undertaker, you ever wrestle on DMT? One that I don't think I would be upset about, but I could see this going either way is Fox.
That's another. That would be okay.
Yeah. And then there's one. Okay. Fox is the same thing to me as the other ones. It just as likely and would be not super duper. Things wouldn't change that much, I feel.
I agree.
And then one more, and this is one that I don't like it, but I think it wouldn't. I think it would be good.
Amazon.
Oh,
Amazon! I knew it.
And
here's one more. There is one more.
Who's the other one?
No. Let's continue into Amazon at the minute, and then I'll inform you of the other.
So I say Amazon because Amazon Prime has done a lot of good, and I know that you don't buy into it. I hate that I don't.
I don't have
it.
Prime. I
know.
Proudly do not have Amazon Prime. They can suck it. They keep raising the prices, and they sell you on this delivery, and then the shopping experience on Amazon is absolute garbage nowadays. There's so many scams, fake products. They don't do anything about it. Like, Amazon is garbage, and I cannot wait for the day that people realize it and they say, you know what? I don't actually need this. There's other options out there. Hey, look, Walmart will ship my stuff for free just because I exist.
You're 100% correct.
Hey,
however, I have seen a lot of their like original programming, the things they've been doing with their streaming services, and I think that it creatively they would have a lot of good influence. I think that it would become more localized to the WWE, and they'd be able to make a lot more creative decisions and have more fun with it, I guess I could say. That saying, I do hate Amazon. I do hate Jeff Bezos. Down with all billionaires. Then that's kind of where I'm at. And what was the other one you were looking at, Carnage?
They might be in one part of one of these groups, but I can't. None of them. Every group that you said currently is. I'm pretty sure they're already a pretty big established group, but that is actually Tony and Shahid Khan of AEW.
Oh yes. Oh, you're absolutely right. I forgot about that. Imagine that timeline.
What they want is they want to
AEW buys WWE.
Partner. Yeah, they want to partner with a media company
merge.
to share intellectual property, and they want to merge the companies together. Which again has pros and cons.
We were watching
very
Carnage.
Much so.
You weren't here last night. We were watching an old Botchmania. And one of the endings was South Park, where they burned down a big box store, and it was a WWE. And then they're like, "Yeah, let's all go down to AEW." And then it shows the slow progression of that, and then they're burning it down. And they're like, "I guess we go to Ring of Honor." And
they're like, "Yeah, let's not do that again. Let's go to Ring of Honor."
But I could see if AEW and WWE merged, I would see it becoming like in the beginning, it would be the best thing in the world. 10 years from now, we'd be like, "God damn it, why?"
The problems you have is like emerging could obviously mean a lot of stars would lose their jobs. There'd be no other real competition. Okay, could make a case of Impact, but they're never going to match the level of AEW's.
I do think
WWE.
we have lost a lot in there not being a WCW.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no. I love AEW from what I've seen so far and what I've been learning about it so far. It's been great, but it's not competing necessarily with WWE. It's getting there.
It's 100% getting there,
but it's not.
It was almost there.
It's almost
got the stars. It's got the stars.
And then a fight broke out or something. I don't.
Yeah, we just we need that. We need the Monday Night Wars back. We need something. In America, just one of the thing is not good.
Yes,
we need.
It's not good for business either,
I think
companies become complacent.
Yeah, I think for the short term, AEW merging with WWE, whatever, would be beneficial for the short term. Long term, like you said, Stu, it would be god awful. I mean, because short term, you're like, oh my god, look at all these dream matches that could happen, and then they happen.
Just think, obviously, we don't know how New Japan would stand on this either. Like, would they be still interested? But imagine you could have Okada versus Omega versus Reigns or something like that.
It would be awesome. Absolutely. And then it wouldn't be. And then you'd be like, oh, Okada versus Reigns again?
I feel like for the last 20 years, somebody has walked into Vince McMahon's office every morning and showed him a chart that just shows WWE continues to be at the top. And he's been like, it's great. And he hasn't been forced to come up with a fucking creative decision in order to, he hasn't been back to a wall to where he had to kind of bet on something to really try and push things. Mm-hmm. So I think that he's been, like you said, he's so complacent in what he's been doing that he doesn't have to be creative. He hasn't been down.
And they royally messed up the invasion angle with WWE, WCW anyway.
Yeah.
So
100%. It fumbled the bag. I mean, we already talked about Sting, but I would hate it. I actually, thinking about it, I would hate it if they merged. I don't want it.
One thing I would like to add as well is if they did merge, would WrestleMania stay?
It would have to. WrestleMania is the biggest the biggest wrestling event of the year. It literally is.
I think that you'd be lost to not maintain it.
Would they rebrand it?
No. I think what would happen, in my opinion, what would happen is if they did merge, they'd be like, hey, we merged, whatever, and then they just keep them separate. I think that'd be the best case. So, hey, we merged. Yeah. I thought you guys merged. We did. But
you'd have like it would almost be like NXT where it's like, we're all part of the same umbrella, but we don't. We have little. It's like an internal forbidden door. Like, somebody's coming. He's coming over from the AEW tonight, and then like, okay, well, we won't see him for the next 6 months.
You have to separate the creative, right? You have to separate creative. You have to separate all that because it just gets so convoluted. And I mean, listen, AEW's doing an okay job with Ring of Honor right now. But you can kind of see it there, and that's a smaller company. And it's like, what I'd rather have, though, I mean, the big benefit there with if they merge is saying, hey guys, let's come out with our own Netflix, and now we can put everything up there, and this is how we make even more money, And now you have access to all this wrestling, this entire library. All in one place.
$9.99.
I'll pay $10.99. Oh God, $9.99. Why'd you unlock that one too? You guys are unlocking a lot of awful things. Let me throw in one more name that I actually
what you got?
Think would be pretty cool if they bought it. Warner Brothers / HBO.
Brothers.
Yeah,
I think HBO. When I was saying Amazon, HBO Max kind of popped into my head, and I think that would be a good thing.
I think it'd be great.
I would like that strictly because they've moved away from their more adult programming, but I think that they would know enough to leave the product alone.
Yeah,
which is ultimately what I really need anybody that buys it to do.
And they have, in my opinion, probably the best streaming service right now.
100% agree.
I mean, the best quality, the ease of use.
Yeah,
the UI, great library. Yeah, I mean, whenever I watch something on there, I'm just like, why do I even bother watching anything anywhere else? It looks so much better. I think they like default to 4K or something. I don't know, but everything just looks so much crisper. I don't know the reason behind it. And it's just like it takes up my entire TV screen. It doesn't leave black bars. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. And it's just so much better. And then it's just so easy to find things. I would love it I think that'd be really cool if HBO just slipped in and was like, hey guys, what about us? And then just yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. And then,
use discount code this federation right here for 5% off your first month in HBO Max.
God, I wish we could say that.
Oh
Jesus
my
Christ.
Gosh, give me anything.
HBO,
you hear that, HBO?
For sale for cheap. Yeah, fucking let's go. I do have a question about a sale. So you've got under the WWE fucking umbrella, you've got things like NXT, Tough Enough. Is Tough Enough still even a thing?
No.
Okay. You've got NXT. You've got the former use of Tough Enough. Like for a developmental like OVW, that's not owned by WWE, is it?
Not anymore. I think they ended that partnership. I think it was more of a partnership that they had, where they would they would feed wrestlers, and I think that ended. NXT started type of deal. So I don't think that relationship exists anymore.
Have you finished at that point, Stu?
Yeah. That was just the question I had, was how does that affect your more mid-tier indies?
Yeah, because I actually have a question.
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead.
Is this not what we should be looking at effectively as the best option? Does Vince really need to sell?
True. Does he actually need to sell the company? At this point, he's made such a ruckus that he freaking better. I mean, does he need to? Probably not. You're right. But you got to wonder, why is he coming back? Is he just coming back for sales purposes? Like, I think so. I mean, I don't know why.
It makes you wonder if there's issues between Vince and Stephanie.
100%.
I know him and Shane.
100%.
My wife and I just finished the 3rd season of Succession, and looking at that fucking show and then looking over at what goes on with the WWE, I'm just like, oh. Like, Vince is just a piece of shit who wants to maintain control at all costs and refuses to leave it to his kids. Like, I just, he's got this big media conglomeration. He's kind of shitty and doesn't treat his employees very well. And hey, look at that. Now it's not yours, it's mine, despite the fact that I've been grooming you to take control of things your entire life. Good luck. Bye.
Yeah,
Vince is definitely fucked. Vince is definitely royally fucked in the last part of his life, and I know obviously a lot of what was come out about him was from many moons ago. But we do also have to, thank him for what he did for the wrestling business.
Sure, but everyone loses their mind eventually.
Yeah, well, of course.
And that happened 10 years ago, and it's time to. I mean, he was the reason why everyone booed John Cena for so long. I mean, come on. But to your original point, does WWE need to sell? Do they need to? Best for the product? Probably not. Will they? Possibly, probably, I'd say.
I don't think it'll be a fast sale either. I think this will go on for a long time.
I think that it's predicted to like summertime is what they're aiming for.
Wow.
And just going back a little bit, thinking about what I said about HBO and Warner Brothers. I mean, how perfect. You've got, Black Adams, which I know that whole thing got canceled. You've got Peacekeeper, right? I mean,
yep.
You make Roman Reigns Aquaman. You're good to go. I mean, this is like it's a match made in heaven. I think now I want it to sell. Now I want WWE to sell to HBO. HBO will be like, here's a blank check. Do whatever you want. Because they got the money, right? Warner Brothers has the money. They're not going anywhere. And here you go. And hey, by the way, can we borrow some of your guys for these DC movies that keep failing? Oh, yeah. Here you go. Who do you want?
See, that's why I'm not too sure, because does it get to a point now where you're going to be like, oh yes, Becky Lynch she's back, like she's won the title, and then she'll just disappear for 6 months again because she's filming a movie, and then she'll come back again. And
mean, is it any different than when WWE made their own movies?
No, well, of course not. No,
the only difference is those went straight to DVD.
Would this happen more because
sure,
a movie company is owning the company, but we don't know.
We don't know, right? We know nothing. I'm over here trying to figure out how to even buy a stock, and they're over there selling multi-billion-dollar companies, and just I don't even know what they're thinking. So we'll see. I mean, I think it'll happen. I think it'll sell. I think this is going to be a crazy year. I think Vince McMahon being back is awful, personally. I think since summertime, we've seen some of the greatest wrestling happen. wrestling storylines. I like fell in love with wrestling again, essentially.
Yeah.
And the backstage promos have been incredible because you always get those little Easter eggs.
Everything's been so good. And it's just like, was it really just one thing that changed it all? Was it really just one person? You know, we have all these wrestlers coming back. Do you think, for example, Carnage, I'll ask you, do you think Bray Wyatt would be back in WWE right now if that didn't happen over the summer?
Nope.
If a certain somebody wasn't there, got the allegations, and Triple H took over head of creative. So you don't
think he'd have been all elite. I think he'd have been all elite.
You think he would have been all elite? Who else came back? Emma came back.
Braun Strowman, Emma.
Braun. Do you think Braun would be back, or do you think he'd still be controlling the narrative?
Braun wouldn't be back. I don't think any of the wrestlers that are there now would have been back.
Steve, if you don't know, Braun Strowman had this CYN Control Your Narrative promotion. That was
fun.
It was something else. Which, by the way, EC3. I called it years ago. Years ago. Everyone's like, oh, EC3 is so great. I'm like, I don't see it. Oh, he's so good. He's got the look. It's like, does he? I don't think he does. And then he got let go. People got really mad. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to control my narrative. I'm going to have a room where you can yell at people. You could yell at a wrestler and they can't do anything. So, great idea.
It's just been refreshing. It's been refreshing for Triple H to bring back, if it's even Triple H who's controlling this stuff.
He's head of creative, so you can only assume that it is Triple H.
Because it's so refreshing for like Bray Wyatt to come back, yes, instead of like Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming back for his like 15th stint in the WWE or something like that.
Oh man, it's like, oh, at number 30, it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan at the Royal Rumble. No way. I was like, what is happening right now?
Vince's like, yeah, the fans will love it. The fans will love it.
Oh my gosh, bring back Goldberg and have him win the championship again. I mean,
it's a breath of fresh air.
I was reading something. It said, oh yeah, it was because the rumor right now, when we'll talk about WrestleMania more in depth later, some other day, but the rumor right now is Stone Cold will be wrestling at WrestleMania, and someone commented, yeah, because he's looking really great right now, like he's looking more in shape than ever. But someone's like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I read this online. I'm just gonna say it. If they can give Goldberg a championship, I want Stone Cold to have a run. I was like, you know what? Do it. Let's do it. One more run. Why not? Give him the championship one more time, and then lose it to somebody who you think is going to be on the up and up at a SummerSlam or whatever. And that's it. As long as he's not losing it to The Rock or Brock Lesnar,
Christ.
Yeah. Is that it about WWE sale? Does anyone else have anything they want to say and add? I mean, I think we kind of touched on all of it. Yeah. It's just kind of like, will it happen? Who knows?
Yeah, it's all throwing fucking spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, really.
It absolutely is.
It's spaghetti.
So then, really, our last topic here is I wanted to do, this is kind of a little special thing, but basically like a spotlight, a wrestler spotlight is what I called it. And basically, I just want to shine the light on someone, not necessarily underrated, because I think underrated is unfair, but someone that I wish was able to, I mean, they're doing so much now, but they've had such a great career that they're able, I wish they were just more prominent, I guess, more of a household name.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. No, he's not really a household name.
He's not. And the person I'm talking about right now is Jay Lethal, who has grown to become one of my favorite wrestlers. Honestly, Jay Lethal is so freaking good. Stu, are you familiar with Jay Lethal at all?
I've been trying to catch up a little bit. I haven't watched any matches. I've been reading about him, but I have not seen him perform yet.
If you haven't already, after this, immediately go watch the Jay Lethal and Ric Flair promo from their time in TNA. It is one of the greatest things ever grace us in wrestling. It really is. It's amazing. It is so good. And there's actually interviews where so it's basically him and Ric Flair, doing a promo, and it's all unscripted. It's all they had no idea what they were going to do. And he does interviews too where he's just like, yeah, they just said go out there and do whatever, and I was terrified, and then someone said just imitate Ric Flair, and that's what happened. And it's
I think once
good.
you see it, Stu, you might know it.
It
might be one of those things.
It was memed to shit. I mean, it
is incredible.
It is so
even thinking
good.
about it now, it's making me chuckle.
But yeah, Jay Lethal. So here's just a couple of notes I had. So looks like he's a 2-time Ring of Honor champion with the most combined days as Ring of Honor World Champion in company history. 2 times and longest reigning Ring of Honor World Television Champion, holding the title for 567 days. For those who don't know, Ring of Honor is just a smaller wrestling organization, been around for quite some time. A lot of people went through there. Daniel Bryan, most notable CM Punk, going through there, which maybe I shouldn't mention him. 13 championships between Ring of Honor and TNA. Ring of Honor Wrestler of the Decade. He's absolutely killing it in AEW, in my opinion. And one of the more notable matches is he worked Ric Flair's last match, when he teamed up with Jeff Jarrett, quote unquote last match, when he teamed up with Jeff Jarrett against Andrade El Idolo and Ric Flair. And yeah, man,
did he train? He trained with Rick for that match as well, right? I believe.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he helped Rick get back into shape.
But
for that last match.
But okay, so for example, Stu, I just read to you all these things that this guy has done.
Right.
And before I even sent you this outline, if I said Jay Lethal, would you have even known who he was?
I would not, unfortunately.
And that's what's just so insane to me, because he is so good. I watched a match where it was Jay Lethal versus Kenny Omega at the G1 thing from New Japan when they were in the US. It was so good. And he doesn't have he has bad matches, but he doesn't have bad matches. He is a constant. You can rely on him. Jay Lethal versus Cody Rhodes for the Ring of Honor Championship. It's all so good. And I just don't get it why he's not, in my opinion, as over. I'm sure he's very happy with his career and stuff. And this is just me shouting at a wall, right? But or what's the saying? Shouting, is it in a cave or I don't know what the saying is. Yeah.
Into the void.
Yeah, into the void. But I just don't understand why Jay Lethal is not why isn't everyone talking about him? I don't get it. He's been there for so long.
I think it's because he hasn't been in WWE.
Right. But okay. Here's the thing. Does he fit in WWE? Does he fit? If he were to show up at the Royal Rumble, okay, he's not going to. This is just, if he were to show up at the Royal Rumble, oh, look, it's Jay Lethal, wow. And then you think about where he would fit in WWE. Would they say, you are our guy? Would they be like, you're going to main event WrestleMania? Or would they ever be like, hey, you're going to hold our WWE championship?
He would be Intercontinental / US title champion, and that would be probably about as far as it'd go, I'd say. And they might then drop him into a tag team.
I agree. And that's so unfortunate because he's so good. But I don't think he fits in there, which is, but and then to your point as well, there are people in the indie scene who they don't need WWE.
Yes.
Kenny Omega.
100%.
The Young Bucks.
100%.
Right? I mean, and technically Cody Rhodes didn't need WWE, even though he's with them now. I mean, an argument can be made that Nakamura didn't need WWE.
Don't even get me started.
I used to, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I used to think about. I always wanted to be on SNL. That was kind of my as a comedian. That was my goal. I want to be on SNL. That's making it to the top is SNL, and that's. As I grew up, I was like, oh no, SNL is a good place to be, but that's not a benchmark of success necessarily. And I think now that I'm looking at how everything works within the professional wrestling scene, WWE is not necessarily, it's the biggest out there to be sure, but it's not the benchmark of success. And you don't have to be on WWE to be a successful full-time wrestler. That does not have to be your goal. And honestly, for a lot of it, it probably is for the best that you don't.
Oh, 100%.
I agree, because he would get lost in the shuffle. They're so bloated right now.
Yeah.
I think he could have a great run in NXT, but he doesn't deserve to be in NXT. That is a if we want to be technical, if I'm not mistaken, is developmental, right? And if Jay Lethal went there, it'd be a waste of time. So where does he go? I mean, he's in AEW, which I think is actually a great fit, but they're not using him. No, they're not. Okay, that's not true. They are using him, right? He has great weekly matches
at the moment, isn't he?
He is.
He's tagging with Jarrett at the moment.
He is, he probably freaking loves it. But okay, you and I disagree there. But he probably loves it, which is a great use for him. But like, when they eventually stop tagging, are they going to still use Jay Lethal, or is he just not going to be present for like a month and a half until the next story pops up? You know, I think this man should be the face of AEW at least for a little bit. Like if he let's say, I know this is down the line, but if he retires from AEW without being an AEW heavyweight champion, world champion, whatever, I don't know what they call it, I think that would be such a shame.
A massive opportunity missed.
I think so. And a lot of people might disagree with that because, again, some people might think, who is Jay Lethal? But man, that's the company's responsibility, really, to be like, look at this guy. He's so good.
I never watched TNA like religiously. I never like I'd always watch it here and there if it was on. I can't remember what TV show it was on here, like Bravo or something, some
like
random
Spike
TV show
for us.
But yeah, anytime I watched it and I'd see him, I was always impressed. Always.
He's so good in the ring. He's so consistent. There's a reason why he's working Ric Flair's last match.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's working with Jeff Jarrett right now. There's a reason he was able to come out with Macho Man's original gear.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a reason for all of it. He's so well respected and he's so good. And he's
not only is he respected, but he's respected by legends of.
By legends, and it's because he respects it. You could tell when he's like, when he has a mic in his hand, when he's in the ring, like he respects the business so much, and he respects the older wrestlers especially. And like, I can't think of anyone that doesn't like Jay Lethal. Like when you think of like reading dirt sheets and stuff like that, I don't think of anyone that's like, oh, this guy, yeah. I guess the point of this is that I want Jay Lethal to be on my TV screen, having great matches and being a champion. I think it's money. And I know that might be a controversial take because there's so many other people out there. You've got Hangman Adam Page, Bryan Danielson. But these people have already had their time. I want Jay Lethal. Give me Jay Lethal.
I think it's a fair ask as well.
Make him a household name. Any other thoughts on Jay Lethal? I mean, I kind of just ranted a little bit at how upset I am. Anyone else? Stu, any thoughts? I know you said you were kind of trying to figure out who he was a little bit.
I would like to. After this, I'm going to go check a couple of Jay Lethal matches out. I'd like to learn more about him. I'm glad that you brought him into my awareness.
So everybody right now needs to pause and go look up his promo with Ric Flair. I think it has like 1.3 million views or something like that from TNA. One of their most watched things. And I think if you Google it, somewhere on Facebook, there is someone's hosting the video of his G1 climax match against Kenny Omega, which is so good. Such a good match. Like super solid. Like the man, I don't think it's possible for him to give you just a below average match. I don't think it's possible.
Unless he's signed for WWE, and then they'd find a way.
Unless he's signed with WWE, and then they're like, hey, so you're gonna go in there, and then you're just gonna, whatever, and you're just gonna lose, and make sure you get DQ'd, or you get counted out.
Listen here, Junior, you're gonna go beat R-Truth for the 24/7 title.
You're gonna go dig it out of the trash. And it's just you're right. If he went there,
maybe not so much now, but I think that the WWE kind of roster is too packed for him to have a very good, and comfortable run.
And I don't think he has the impact, no pun or anything like that. But like, I don't think he has the impact like AJ Styles would have, right? Like when AJ Styles came from the indie scenes, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's AJ Styles," right? I don't think, unfortunately, that he would have that impact. And
there'd probably be a small section within the crowd like, oh my god, it is Jay Lethal, but it wouldn't be like a massive pop like you saw at Cody Rhodes when he returned or something.
yeah,
like that.
Which is also so interesting. Now I'm thinking about AJ Styles because he wasn't with WWE. He just did the indie thing. He never went to AEW. He just existed in the indie scene. And then all of a sudden, hey, I'm in WWE. He was like, oh my God, it's AJ Styles. I've known him forever. It's like, what? I don't know. Maybe we need to get in touch with AJ Styles and just like forward some tips.
Hey, man, hey, AJ, if you want to really pop, here's what we would say.
Here you go, Jay. Like, yeah, just do this. But like, his impressions are so good too. His like his Macho Man impressions, his Ric Flair impressions. He's just top to bottom, man. He's who you want in a wrestling federation.
Look, AJ, I know that you were on the cover of WWE 2K19, but if you really want to get ahead in this business, here's what you should do.
No, he's just, again, he is who you want when you have a federation. Jay Lethal, in my opinion, is who you want at the company. He's reliable. He's a workhorse. He is the total package, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And I hope, I cross my fingers, and I hope that we're going to be watching him on a weekly basis. Someday he main events a pay-per-view and he walks out champion. Everyone's just off their chair. They're all standing off their feet, whatever, on their feet. We'll see.
Something I did see. It's more so the start of his career when he was 16. I had to pull it because it did make me chuckle a little bit. So at the age of 16, he won a contest held by the Jersey All Pro Wrestling, which entitled the winner to a lifetime of free training at the Jersey All Pro Wrestling School. He spent 6 months training there before it closed down.
Oh my God! Well, technically, got his got what he wanted, right?
He got the lifetime, I guess. But
hey, I did it.
I believe he then went on to train ECW after that, or a few years later.
Yeah, he started so young too. 16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah,
he's been in the business for so long. AEW, use them. Just use them, please. I'm begging you. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add or talk about?
If you're listening to this, hopefully you're going to be around for the return of this federation right here, Wrestling Federation.
I guess we should plug that, huh?
Yeah, it's the thing we do.
It's something we do on the side.
We have a lot of big things planned for this season upcoming. We're looking forward to probably right about the time we release this, looking at what's going to be coming with WWE 2K23 and seeing if we'll be moving in that direction, which I think we will.
I mean, we basically have to, right?
Yeah,
we basically have to. It's not really a choice. They've got us. Yeah, they've got us tied up. What would be interesting is that AEW game coming out, though. That's also interesting.
Again, we just got to see what it is.
Yeah, our needs are different.
It's less about the company and more about the capability.
You're right.
Customization. Freedom. We have to do what we want.
But we're really excited. We're glad that you guys are coming on board with us. We have some cool things coming in the form of some guest spots and potentially some access to some stuff that we will discuss as it comes along. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us and talking with us about this. And hopefully, if you guys have any questions, where to reach us.
Twitch.tv/this federation right here.
This federation right here.
Your weekly WWE 2K22/23 Universe Federation wrestling stuff. Nailed it.
Fucking nailed it.
Nailed it. It's all a bunch of community wrestlers. It's a super good time.
Yeah.
Just sit back, watch, grab a snack. It's going to be great. We're starting season 2 January 29th, the day after the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. We're doing a quick little recap on, I don't think we decided on whose stream we're doing it on, but on January 23rd, which is a Monday, I believe, we're doing a quick little recap of season 1.
Might be a great time to open up the to actually start using the new.
Yeah, we'll talk about stuff and maybe work with some stuff. It'll be very laid back, and just kind of getting reacquainted. No necessarily serious anything, just like seeing how things work. It's going to be either on my channel or Stu's channel. I'll link them all. They'll all be somewhere, or you already know where they are because you know us.
Yeah.
And super exciting. And then of course Royal Rumbles this month. Whew. And I think in the future what we're going to do, I talked to Stu a little bit about this, Carnage. But we need to start watching some of the worst that wrestling has to offer, because it's not all good. It's not all good, right? And we'll have to start watching, and maybe we can we'll have to talk to him, but maybe we can get Young Beef in here, because I think he would have some hilarious commentary to add while we're watching something awful
I'd like to look at
wrestling.
as well in regards to, like, while we're talking about worst matches, I think some of the good things to look at would be the worst gimmicks.
Worst gimmicks, worst matches, worst manias, worst rumbles, worst everything. Just let us know. Whatever the worst of you want to watch and have us watch, let us know. Maybe we'll get a little drunk for them too. Who knows?
Yeah,
worst everything.
We might even dress up in some of those gimmicks.
Anyways, I think we're all done here, unless anyone else has anything to add. We're all done here.
Carnage, while I've got you here, how many how many subs to make you adopt the old British Bulldog haircut?
I'll do it for free.
Oh, perfect. That's the best amount of subs.
Fantastic. All right.
Amazing. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. First episode is in the books, everybody. We finally did it. We got there. We got there eventually. I want to appreciate everyone who has been listening. This has been what do we call it? This wrestling podcast right here. And
what do you mean we, Kimosabe? You just kind of said something.
And I've been Beby. That's been Carnage over there. You can't see me. Yep, him.
I'm Stu over
and that's
here.
Stu. And we appreciate you. We will catch you guys on episode 2. Everybody take care. Have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Be well.